Now, before I start, I need to say this.
Before you open your mouth, I'm just going to say to you before you speak, because what comes out your mouth, I'm going to take at face value. So.
Suzanne Collins, amazing writer. Genre. Like, she did it. No one could do it like her. So me even being here pretentiously saying this is what I think could have been different is just giving my commentary.
I will fight to get my own way
on something which is like basically perfect, okay? In no other way do I think that I could write this better than Suzanne Collins. It's just a chance to discuss and stuff we wish could have happened or wish didn't happen. I'm just gonna talk about the different kind of sections, put the timestamps down below, and you can comment if you think I missed out on anything. There's a lot going on in this trilogy. I'm going to focus on Mockingjay. So if there's anything you feel I missed out on, please put it down below and I might include it in a different video. So this is going to be very shocking to people, but my biggest problem with the Hunger Games trilogy, in particular Mockingjay, was Primrose and Katniss' relationship. It was Primrose and Katniss' relationship. It's supposed to be a driving force of this book. I'm supposed to, more than the boys, more than anything, I'm supposed to care about Primrose. And Suzanne Collins, I didn't.
But that's on you. That's not on me.
By the end of the book, when you see those bombs dropping on Prim and we don't quite know what's happening, it's so, which is brilliant writing because war is very, you know, chaotic, but you kind of get to grips with, oh, that's Primrose who's just been killed.
Oh, she passed away? Oh. All right.
But you don't feel it. You feel sorry and you feel the pain of Katniss.
If I'm totally honest, like, I am really sorry for the way that you feel about that situation because I never...
But you don't feel it because we were never given the chance to love and know Prim. We care more about Finnick's death. Finnick, a secondary character, than Prim's.
My first love and the one, and it turns out I haven't.
There's something wrong with that. Like, there's just something wrong. We shouldn't just care about Prim because Katniss cares about Prim. The problem lies not in Mockingjay, not in this book. It lies in this one, Catching Fire. Tell me where she had a big, meaningful conversation with Prim. Does this book even pass that movie test? Is it called the Bendel test? I'll put it up. Like that test where they say, do the two characters talk about, female characters talk about anything but a boy?
Guys are fuckers.
Prim and Katniss never passed that test because in Mockingjay, the only significant conversation they have is about Peeta.
Right, anyways, nice chat.
Like, where's this sisterly love? We know that Katniss, we are told, and we are told through Katniss' perspective, all that, you know, how amazing Prim is, blah, 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 blah.
And it's fighting and talking and yelling and just eating.
Katniss even asked, like, oh, you know, Prim, haven't even asked you how you feel about being in District 13. How do you feel about this? Like, way after, like, she doesn't even count, like, oh, you know, Prim, how have you been doing? She doesn't even tell Prim goodbye in any of the scenes when she's going off to die because she's so tragically heartbroken about Peeta. How does she not know she loves Peeta? I don't know. But
I guess I'm just a riddle wrapped in a mystery inside a bitch.
next thing I want to talk about is the victory table in the end of Mockingjay where they decide to have another Hunger Games. I know that Snow was trying to do this like, oh wait, she voted for the Hunger Games and oh my god, she killed Snow, but I don't think she explained enough to people. Like she's talking to a wide novel audience. Like I don't think she explained enough to people how Katniss saw Coin and Snow at the same time as being the same. That was her moment. She says there, she says in the book, I hope I can find it, that was beaten down by the cause for the deaths of the district's children. The scent of Snow's rose curls up into my nose, down into my throat, squeezing it tight with despair. All those people I loved, dead, and we are discussing the next Hunger Games in an attempt to avoid wasting life. Nothing has changed. Nothing will ever change now. Beautiful. And I got teared up reading that because she had just written another paragraph where she sees snowing coin. I think then when she kills Coin, we understand she didn't just do this for revenge. She did this because she realized the cycle would continue. It would make her maturity shine through. The next problem I had with Mockingjay and with the trilogy is Katniss's relationship with her mother and how that feeds into her trauma and how she views her trauma. The whole reason that this whole trilogy works is because Katniss was a human being, and a new human being would break down at some point.
I'm a human being.
Of this, the whole experience that she went through, they'd break down at some point. Especially her, when she never showed her emotions to anyone in this book. Not really. We see them as the people who are reading her thoughts, but she never has that confident moment where she actually talks about her trauma with anyone. And the one person there who could empathize with being in depression, where depression is hereditary, who probably would empathize with her depression, was her mother. And there was no scene between them.
I just what? It's just all what the hell?
Just like her female friendship, you know, her friendship with her sister wasn't probably solidified in Catching Fire or in the Mockingjay. Her relationship with her mother, nothing. She just keeps saying, oh, I kind of know how my mother feels. Oh, I kind of maybe should be better with my mother. Oh, me and my mother, we should, you know, we should work on stuff.
No, I hate you.
All those, it would have made so much sense if she had taken out her anger on her mother, and her mother kind of, you know, explaining, you know, I went through the same thing as you and you never gave me any pity, or something of that. It would have been so mature. It would
It's like the bitch apple doesn't fall far from the bitch tree.
have been such a good character plot, a character evolution. And the closest we get is Joanna and Katniss. Like, there's no proper female friendship arising in this book, or female relationship.
No one?
So sad. That was just so underexplored. Katniss's mother would have been a beautiful way to kind of go at deep dive into Katniss's trauma a bit more. Nothing. Instead, she goes to Finnick.
I do not want to comment.
So I've just said now that there was no female friendships, proper ones, solidified in this trilogy. My next gripe with this book is Madge. Okay, so Katniss has a female friend with so much potential. Where did she go?
You never know. Like, everyone always surprises you in here. You just don't know.
Like, where is she? She's just dead at the end of the book? Like, no, okay?
Don't do it. Don't do it.
This character gave Katniss the pin. She just had the pin on her, okay? Gave Katniss this pin. Never had time to like run back and get this pin. She had this pin. Gave it to Katniss. Doesn't say anything. Just says, you have to wear this pin. Okay, a little strange. She then comes back into the story to show Katniss that there's a uprising in District 8. And just as like, you know, she doesn't do it directly, but she has the TV on. So you're telling me this character, the mayor's daughter, knew nothing about the rebellion?
Well, that's a lie if I ever heard one.
She just dies. Like, no. Like, this turns up with the morphling for Gale, because she liked the strawberries, or as Hamish said, and that nettles Katniss because she's like, is there something going on between Gale and Madge? No, that nettles me. I don't like the thought of that.
Oh my god, get over yourself.
So you have this character who invokes some kind of jealousy in Katniss, and is a contrast to Katniss because she's just seemingly more politically inept than her. From the little we see, she's a bit more, you know, in the know, and she's nowhere to be found in Mockingjay. Why? Like, why? That
wasn't the one I wanted. Stop, you can't cry.
It was Katniss's female friendship. It would have been so much more beautiful if you brought that up. Even if she, I mean, I wouldn't have want her to be in love with Katniss because I don't want some reverse harem nonsense here.
Wow. What a shower of
Actually happening to
Another gripe I have with this book, but I will overlook it because it's not about the romance. I don't like reverse harems and everyone being in love with Katniss. But
I wasn't done, Steven.
All right.
actually, let's talk about that. I don't like that. I don't like when Finnick said, oh, everyone wants to kiss, kill, or be you, or whatever.
Yeah.
But it was like, ew, she's 17, ew, like, what, everyone wants Katniss. She's the pick-me girl. Everyone wants Katniss. It's so boring. It's not relatable. Like, oh, she's this docile girl, not docile, but like pure girl who doesn't realize all the boys want her.
Okay, no, and that's the thing. I didn't want to carry this on because it's boring me to death now. But
I don't like that at all, and especially didn't like that this one very interesting character, to me anyway, Madge, is just thrown out of the book.
What the frick?
Like, oh, it's so annoying. What should have happened in Catching Fire is we see a little bit more of the Gale-Madge interaction, okay? Let's just say we see a little bit, like in behind the scenes, and Candace just be like, what's going on there? And then we find out in Mockingjay that the reason Gale was allowed to head out and take everyone, because how does he know that bombs are dropping off? Like, how much time does he have to really get Prim and her mother out from Victor's village to the fence? Like, he needs time to do that. He needs to know that the bombs are coming. He'd know, or he'd have some kind of understanding if the mayor's daughter was involved. So then we see mayor's daughter, Gale, doing, you know, strategizing and like doing all these political things, and Katniss just being like, huh? So this girl that you had no, not jealousy, not that kind of jealousy, not like romantic jealousy, but like jealousy in the sense, oh, you have another partner.
That's cheating.
He could have led her on just the whole time.
Cheating.
You have someone else, like I have Peeta, you have another partner, and our worldviews are changing, and your worldview, even though she's the mayor's daughter and you guys are, you know, class-wise, you're not the same. You guys have the same political views and you're revolutionaries. That would have been so good, but we find out that Madge is a revolutionary.
You're lucky that I'm gracing you with my ideas.
Oh, I thought you were my friend. You were just using me for your revolution. That would have been so interesting if that was in the book. There's a hint of it. We don't even know. Like, partner in crime. What are you doing with her? Like, that would have been so much more interesting than the scenes we got. Oh, that's another section. The scenes we got of like Gale and Katniss by the wooden table, and Gale being like, you only love me when, you know, I'm in pain.
Aggressive?
Why is she saying her
petty? Why did she do that?
Yeah.
It's like, no one wanted that. It would have been so much better if she had like some kind of
Let's go. You could gaze into the future.
Standing like, oh, they're revolutionaries and they don't think I'm a revolutionary, but I'm the one who fought in the Hunger Games. I'm feeling so mad, but you killed off.
Walk away and tighten up your body before you get to class! Walk away and tighten up your body before you get to class!
We'll go straight from Madge to Peeta. Oh.
Before you open your mouth, I think before you speak, because what comes out your mouth, I'm going to take at face value. So
I love
you. Like, I really, really do.
Peeta, he's my favorite character. There's so much she doesn't do with him.
I swear to God, the things I would do to that man.
He has I think the reason he's so revered is because we see strands of such a great character set up, but nothing is really done with him except being this like fantasy in Katniss's mind. She idolizes him a lot.
What's your story?
Bored and ignored.
We don't get any scene where Peeta talks about his disability. That really irks me.
Offend me? No. Irks me? Yeah.
He lost his leg. Katniss cries for 5 minutes over this. Don't you think, and maybe this is because I watched You Before Me and stuff, but don't you think him losing his leg as a 16-year-old boy, isn't he not going to think that factors into Katniss seemingly choosing Gale over him? Feeling like he's not whole enough for his family, who've basically rejected him. He lives in Victor Village by himself. rejected by his family, rejected by Katniss, rejected by, you know, the society. Isn't that going to play into anything, his disability? Like, we're not going to talk about this. There's not going to be any scene where Peeta's like a bit insecure because he has a missing leg.
Ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
Like nothing. That
Nothing. Hundreds of.
and that was a physical reminder of the Hunger Games. Never comes up again.
Okay, no, and that's the thing. I don't want to carry this on because it's boring me to death now. But
Not really. He can't. The only time it comes up is to make him look weak.
I know what the you're doing. I'm not appreciating it.
In the beach scene, like he can't run through the jungle. Like no shit, he can't. But we don't talk about like how hard it must have been, like to adjust to not having a leg. Nothing. Why did you take away his leg then? If you're not going to talk about it, why would you take away his leg then?
I just like, what? It's just all like, what the hell?
I could look past that. It's fine. No book is perfect. She doesn't have to talk about everything. Oops. She doesn't have to talk about everything. I'm a disaster right now. She doesn't have to talk about everything, but when we come to the hijacking, you would think at least at this point Katniss is going to be bothered to learn a little about his family. He doesn't just forget Katniss. He can't really remember anything.
Oi, who destroyed you?
Like, he's asking Katniss about a math teacher, about like very basic things. He can't remember anything. So this is the perfect time where we could have introduced a bit about Peeta's family. The whole family he lost.
Oh, she passed away? Oh. All right.
And Peeta says in Catching Fire, he's like, he tells Katniss, you don't think about other people. Like, he says, I have family and friends that I am going to lose too. When she tells in District 11, she says that Snow threatened me and threatened Gale's life. And he's like, what about my family's life?
Do me a favor, ladies. Realize that this is about you feeling good too. This is not about him only feeling good. Come on, let's go.
And my friend's life. He says that and we realize, wow, Katniss is a bit selfish. Like, she's not told us anything about Peeta's relationships beyond her. Nothing. We know all about Gale's family. She goes on and on about Gale's family.
You're making out with the guys, yeah? You've still got a chance.
I'm not interested in what you have to say.
I'm loving Katniss. We don't really know anything about his world outside of Katniss because Katniss doesn't bother to find out, and that's fine. That's fine in Catching Fire for that to be the way because she doesn't care and he's ignoring her for 6 months. It's fine. But we couldn't find out during his hijacking anything. It couldn't have come up during a conversation. My next point. Couldn't have come up with a conversation with Deli. Oh my god, Deli. Wow, it sounds... I actually have a lot to say about this book. Deli is the most annoying character ever. Like, this was the one female character. This is the one character Peeta has connection to, who cares about Peeta. And she just fell so flat. She was so boring.
I can be genuinely serious, yeah, from my heart of hearts.
First of all, I know that they don't need to be any love triangle. There doesn't have to be love rivalry or anything, but Katniss describes her as frumpy. She doesn't feel any kind of jealousy or any kind of like, she knows more about Peeta than I do.
But I can physically see that I'm better than her in every sense of the word. So
nothing. She feels nothing. She's like, oh, she can make me look good. And she's just the most annoying character. There's no interesting part about Deli. Like, oh, that character. She's just really nice. And Katniss, not Katniss, Suzanne Collins has this thing where she makes all the blonde characters, I'm going to talk about this later, blonde characters be super nice, and all the characters like Gale and Katniss be the moody, grumpy ones, which,
I know what the you're doing. I'm not appreciating it.
She could have used this character, this one character. Instead of Deli, what she should have done, in my opinion, is bring back Madge, and Madge could have been the childhood friend who Peeta is reconnecting, who Katniss doesn't know, oh, they're friends. Like, she could have been the character that they bring back. Not a love square, but literally just being the character that, oh, Peeta has that witty banter, or he's like, you know, showing a different side to him. Because we know that Peeta has a completely different side to him. Someone said on Tumblr that Peeta puts the lion in Dandelion because
I am what I am, and I'll stand by that. And
how he gained that position, even though clearly he's a child of abuse, And that has factored into him being the way he is, the way he has the ability to talk and get himself out of situations, how he can mask his feelings, how he can articulate himself so well. Like, clearly his mother plays a big role in the abuse he faces, plays a big role into how he defines his character and how his character handles trauma. Nothing. And it doesn't even come out in the hijacking. The story wasn't about Peeta, but then that's your pacifist character, and you've really kind of not ruined but put him through a lot of trauma, and you're trying to tell a story about how trauma affects people and you don't talk about that. Why?
But if you ask my opinion, we all just wasted a perfectly good evening.
Instead, all we get to know is, oh, Peeta, is he gonna come back to me? Oh, Peeta, he's not in love with me anymore.
I just don't want anyone to fucking come in here and then they're going to want to fucking get to know me, and it's fucking making us like, I just don't want to do it. I just don't. I just want to go home. Like, I'm done now.
You could have used those other characters like Madge to be like, actually, Kat, this is not just about you.
What did you just say? What did you just say? Come here now. What did you just say?
But instead, Deli's character's just is like, no, she's not a mod. No, like, don't be like this Peeta. Be the Peeta that you were before. Or like,
True that, no one's wearing your
Some shit.
Yeah.
Oh my god, yeah.
like, whatever, be nice, and like, let's talk about the chalk. I don't know what she's talking about, some childhood memories. Boring.
What's your story?
Bored and ignored.
We had to talk about this love story between Gale, Katniss, and Peeta. When I first was going to make this video, I thought I hated that there was a love story.
Because ultimately it is all noise and it'll go away. It'll be somebody else.
Apparently what Suzanne Collins wanted was there not to be a love story, but she's asked for a love story because of Twilight, apparently.
God, okay, I'm gonna do it, I guess.
And that Gale was actually supposed to be her cousin, which makes more sense when you read the first Hunger Games. But I now think, when you think, and I'm going to do a separate video on this, when you think about Katniss's journey to femininity and kind of how she reaches adulthood and how she interacts with the two boys and learns her own sexuality, the love triangle is very important. There is a love triangle. I know that's controversial. There is a love triangle. She clearly has feelings for Gale. Like,
I'm just kind of enjoying being young and just having fun.
Like, anyone who doesn't think so has not reread this. She has feelings for Gale and Peeta. Love triangle is interesting. It's interesting because she uses the two boys to form her viewpoints. She uses the two boys to kind of show how just because you were made for someone at one point, that doesn't mean it lasts forever, and actually what we want and what we need might be two different things. Point, I was like, oh, I just really wish that was her cousin, and that her cousin killed Prim, who is his family. Oh my god. That scene where Gale and Katniss were in the cabin and he's like, oh, you're taking Peeta as well. That kind of would have made more sense if Gale was her cousin. It would have made so much sense, because he'd be like, but we're your family, and she would have to explain that's my found family, instead of,
I'm not worried about me at all.
It's not his fault. Him coming across as this really needy boy and being like, oh, you're taking
Peeta. Didn't realise our party was so big.
Sorry, what?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
You what? Where?
Let me explain everything, Laura.
But the love story was needed. I don't know how I feel about Gale killing Prim and then being shipped off to District 2. I know that was needed for the story, but kind of shipping him off to District 2 and Katniss sitting on a rock being like, oh, I wish Gale was beside me right now, but now he's in District 2 kissing another pair of lips. Basically, that is what she says. Oh my. It just felt like, oh, Gale left, so I can't resolve anything with him, and now Peeta's moved in right next door, so Peeta it is. But that's not what the story was. Like, it was her making a clear choice, but when you frame it in that way, it's just ugly. Like, it's just ugly, and you're just like, oh, Katniss, like,
yeah.
Like, I don't know. And that brings me to my last point, and probably apart from Prim, my probably biggest gripe with this book is and then we get on to, we'll go to Finnick's death. I wasn't going to do it now, but Finnick's death. Should Finnick's death have happened? I'm ambivalent on this. I can't say yes or no. I think Suzanne Collins has come out and said she kind of wishes she didn't kill Finnick, but it was good. It was good for this sense. You didn't even know it was happening. It was so senseless. Yeah, it was tragedy. That's right, sirens. It was so senseless. So, like, heartbreaking. Why this such a good character is being killed? And that's what you have to feel. And it really reminds me of the Hamilton line, which says, you know, death doesn't discriminate from the sinners and the saints. It takes and it takes and it takes. And that was Finnick's death. And that was, I mean, even more impactful than Prin's death, in my opinion. Not to Katniss, but to us. So, do I hate Finnick's death? It's sad that she killed a great character off, yes, but in the long run for the storytelling, it was good. For her to tell her story, which was not about narrative, but about the plot of war and what it does to us, it was a good story, because that's what she really wanted to do through this YA novel. It wasn't really about Katniss, it was about the story she's trying to tell, about war and trauma. I know people are going to hate this, but I'm not 100% annoyed at her for killing Finnick. I can live with her killing Finnick. I hate this epilogue. I was going to read it, I was like, I hate it. This epilogue feels like there was a bullet point list that Suzanne Collins made of like, yeah, there needs to be a boy with Peeta's eye, Katniss's eyes and Peeta's hair, and her daughter with Katniss's hair and Peeta's eyes. Oh, and Peeta still has trauma, and oh yeah, and I kind of didn't want them, but then Peeta, you know, he really wanted them, so like, yeah, we had them, and oh yeah, I still have trauma, like, let's just put that in. It was like a bullet point list of stuff she knows she has to say, and she never expounded on the list, and that became the epilogue.
I just feel like I'm trying to be so honest and...
What is this? Like, it can be poignant and it can be bittersweet. You can give us a bit more detail. She's so detached, so like it's not even the depressive thing, it's just so like no personality, no soul, nothing.
I don't have the energy to get up.
And that's the end of that character. Like, people are so attached to this character, and that's how you ended your character. And
what the frick?
The healing process a bit more, instead of shoving the healing process into one page.
It's not as depressing as it sounds, I promise.
That's not fair. I know your book's about war, but that is not fair to your young novel readers, who you've introduced some very heavy topics that they've had to deal with, and you've basically left them with no support. I think it's very unfair.
I wouldn't want anybody to experience what I've experienced.
Not a squeaky happy ending like Harry Potter, but we want to see a bit more to kind of know that she's okay. And you didn't give that to your readers. I specifically feel like I can say this when you read the prequel and we see how much faff and how much filler she puts in for Snow and Lucy's relationship. Another video.
Base? Yes. How dare you?
And Cambridge says, oh, you need to have some kind of personality, you need to talk about your home, you need to like give them something. And she says she says they took everything from me, they can't take my past.
I'm going to be remembered for something. I'm remembered for being a bitch.
And it makes me think, and this is what my thought process has been for the whole decade. The reason she never talks about Peeta and their relationship, but talks so heavily about Gale, but never talks about Peeta and her relationship, and never really talks about her kids or gives them names or anything, is because she feels like we have her past. She doesn't want us to have her present and her future, and that's why she never really talks about her feelings or dives, because she really critically thinks about her feelings with Gale. She never does that with Peeta, which is very weird. And I always thought, is this because she doesn't want us to know?
Wait, do you think that in 5 years people will still be saying, she's a bitch? I hope so. I hope they do.
Because people are not happy with it. And maybe that's the beauty. Maybe I shouldn't be complaining because it's inspired so much great fan fiction. But it's not right.
Well, she tried. At least, you know, she...
If you have any thoughts about what you would have changed in the books, let me know. If you were that, I don't care if it's not a book about the love triangle, I'm going to talk about it. So let me know in the comments down below what you'd like me to talk about. And I'll see you next time, next week. Bye!